just a minute. We are actually 1 minute early here. We just got 1 o'clock. So we're going to start at 1:01 or 1:02, and we'll get things going. So Theril and I will just look at each other awkwardly and wait for people to join. What's the weather like today in Texas, Theril?
That's very interesting. The weatherman said early on Sunday, hey, get ready. August is coming all this week, all this month. We're actually having summer early. May is a mixture month of warm weather to hot weather, back to some mild weather, but we're in the 95 range all this week.
Really?
Wow.
We got to swim in our pool last night.
But we did take a dip in our pool last night, so that's a big deal for some Canadians who are guests in our home right now.
There you go. I think it's 59 here, so we have like the reverse. All right, and we're gonna get started here in just 30 seconds. All right. So again, everyone, thank you for joining another edition of Webinar Wednesday. I'm here with Theril Williams from Floors to Go in Texas. If you guys do have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we will answer them live with Theril and myself. But without further ado, Theril, thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Let's start before we dive in today. And really today I want to talk about, when we've had conversations in the past, there's two things that have always excited me about your business. One, how you guys have been around for so long, yet you've been able to convince your team and your staff to do things differently. And two, how you've been able to increase your margins and where you kind of see the future of the flooring industry heading. But before we do that, can you give everyone like a brief background on yourself, your store, and then transition that into how we met? Because I think that's a really interesting kind of transitionary story there.
Okay, so a little bit about my background. I got in this business in 1973. What is this? 2022? That's like 49 years. That's pretty close to 50, as they say here in the South. And I started out working for a very large distributor. It's called L.D. Brinkman back in the day. They were across the Southwest. Worked on the order desk. And I have been traveling through the flooring business, working for different people. And I got out, spent some time in the retail business. But for probably 10 years. And then I got outside for about 8 years selling for manufacturers. I was a manufacturer's rep for Shaw and Queen. And then I got out of that, went into commercial flooring. So, but I've always worked for somebody else. Now on straight commission this whole time, yes. And then finally, back in 2003, I started this company. So we're just 19 years into our business of actually working for myself. So I'm not a second generation or first generation. I'm just, I started this thing, and I started it to really because I wanted to do the right thing for people on the retail side. I saw how bad the flooring dealers are in North Texas, and yet there's some really good dealers here as well. But in terms of servicing the public, and so I really wanted to put in a shop that was, we did quality, but we did stuff well, and we stood behind what we did, because I have so many people that would not stand behind things, and people would come to me and complain and want me to fix stuff, and I just said, if I don't sell it, I don't fix it.
Yep.
And so that's that's a little bit about my background.
And then we met at the Dallas show last year?
Yes. We met for the first time at the Dallas show last year. We sure did. And actually, in 2021, actually, one of my sales reps discovered you first. This was like a 2-day show, 3-day show, something like that. And Alice, I got to give Alice credit. Alice said, hey, you got to come see this company. They're like totally different. And I go over there, and y'all don't have any products in there. All you got are these television screens and computers. I'm going, so what are we going to buy here? And it kind of went from there. And I realized y'all were in marketing. and running websites and stuff. And you didn't run anything for you. I didn't have your website. You weren't running my website. You weren't doing anything for me. And I said, oh, I like the sound of this system. They said, well, you got to do this, got to do that. I said, okay, I'm in. The whole ball of wax. I want it. And so I met you and John Weller at that particular time. And that's how we met.
And before that, you were just running the website with some local company, I assume?
Well, yes, I had two different websites, but one of my websites was run by another marketing group, buying group, I should say. And so in that period of time, we've had everything switched over to you guys. You guys are driving everything right now for us.
And you've been part of a few different buying groups over the last 40 years, correct?
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, one of the companies I worked for years and years ago was part of Flooring America. When they first early on got started, I wasn't with that particular company for probably maybe about a year, and we got out, and that was a little bit during some of the turmoil of the early startups. That particular buying group is no longer around, but it was the beginning of another group. But then this group that I've been a part of in the past for 13 years is called Floors to Go. And that's another buying group that we've had experience with.
Gotcha. And then, okay, so that makes sense. So that's kind of the background of your business. I think what's really interesting is you met us in Dallas. You signed up for everything. You signed up for the website. You signed up for retail lead management, our CRM, and you also signed up for the retail selling system. And you were making comments to me about the future of the flooring industry, our Flooring Stores United program and all of that. I want to know from you, like, what made you go in that direction? Why did you want to change the way you were potentially doing business?
Well, a couple of things, actually. For years, I really felt like the private labeling system was the only way to get some protection over our products and to help us to keep our margins properly and to keep a lot of customers from just doing a lot of crazy shopping.
And speaking of that, real quick, tell everyone how many stores are on your street and who your neighbor is.
Okay, so on this one street that I'm on a highway, 121. It's called Airport Freeway. Connects DFW Airport to downtown Fort Worth and beyond. There are 12 legitimate dealers on this street that you can find, and I have one neighbor that's like 50 feet. What is that? I haven't actually taken the tape measure out there, but it's about 40 or 50 feet. You can drive a truck down between us, and they're a direct retail competitor. But then 150 yards down the street is ProSource, which is that particular ProSource is owned by a great big company in Dallas, and they own several ProSources. But that particular one ProSource is always in the top 5 in the nation in sales. So there we have a wholesaler right down the street from us selling a lot of the same products we're selling. So I knew that. They were already here first. I knew that when I put this store in, but this was a great location. It didn't matter to me because I wanted to give service, and they have a different model because, like I've said before, there's like 27 different ways to run a flooring store.
Yep.
And that was not going to be my model.
So you have all these competitors, obviously drives margins down a bit so that you can compete. What made you, so you've been doing things for almost 50 years. I find it interesting because we talk to a lot of people and they're like, I don't want to change. I don't want to change my technology. It's too hard to get my staff to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to change. It's been working for me. I don't want to change my selling system. It's working with me. You came in and said, I guess at the time, I've been doing this for 48 years and I want to change everything. What made you want to change everything? And I guess looking forward, like, how are you viewing the future, of the flooring industry by doing this?
Well, one of the reasons I want to change everything is because I just think if you sit still, you're going to get stagnate, and you're not going to grow. And if you're going to grow, you've got to do change. I mean, if there's anything constant in this whole life, is change. And so we have to kind of keep moving, and the market kind of keeps moving things for you. You're either going to, you know, be the pace setter, or you're going to have to, you know, you got to lead, follow, or get behind, right? Or get out of the way, I guess is the expression. And so I wanted to change everything because I was a little tired of the way we were doing things, and I wanted some new life breathed into my business, which that's what Broadloom FSU's system really did and has done. And so that attracted me because, you know, if you want something in life that you've never had, you got to do something you've never done. Let that soak in for a second. If you want something in life that you've never had, then you may have to do something you've never done before. And so I was willing to take the risk. I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 70 years old and had been in this business a while. Yeah, a lot of my personal friends are retired, and you know they're enjoying the life they want. I have fun. I like helping people. So it's going to be hard for me to retire. I'm going to do something. But anyway, I wanted my business running a bit smoother, and I wanted to increase my volume, and I wanted to protect these margins. And by this system, I could see, because y'all were going to be instituting this map pricing, you were going to be instituting protected territories. Nobody gives protected territories. You guys are offering protected territories. And I'm telling you, that is a big deal, to offer protected territories. And to me, that gives us an opportunity to do inside, you know, the box that y'all have created for me to operate the way I want to operate, and within the confines of the system. Yep. And that's basically what it kind of attracted me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's the technology platform that we offer everyone, but we believe as a company, like, flooring brands have a great story, right? There's great manufacturers out there, and how can our platform help tell the story of those brands? Without going into which brand it is or isn't, you mentioned a lot of whatever the Kool-Aid we're selling to consumers, it's working. Can you just tell that story again? You don't have to mention the brands, but you know, tell this story about, you know, you're a warehouse guy. Now everyone wants to sell because of the technology and the system you have in place. It's made it so much easier. I love that story.
Well, okay. So before, you know, I hired marketing people just like everybody else. Other floor covering dealers have hired marketing people, and they walk in your door and they say, hey, they can do this and they can do that. But it's usually not measurable or quantifiable, if you want to use the nice big word. And so with you guys, y'all have created blogging sites, you've created product reviews, you've created information out there in the world, in the cyber world space, where people are shopping. Had another lady in here this morning, been doing the same thing, walked in asking for Paradiso, made it right immediately. But when they come in here, they technically are sold on what they have been looking for, because y'all have so much information out there that's teaching them about the product or telling them that it is the best product. And
let me ask one more question about that. Before working with us, did you have a catalog on your website?
Yes.
Well, we had a catalog on our website, but it wasn't any kind of an interactive catalog at all.
Okay.
And quite honestly, yeah, it wasn't a very active one. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was maybe a 3.5.
Okay. Well, how about your staff? You've had the same staff for a long time. You've been doing this the same way for a long time. Like, how do you get the staff to change? How do you get them to use new softwares, get them to use the website, get them to use new systems, get them to use the visualizer? I think that's something retailers struggle with. And you said it, you're in your 70s and you're doing it. So if there's a retailer in their 50s saying, or their 60s saying, I've been doing the same way, I'm not changing, and my staff will never change, what do you have to say to them? Like, what would your
you know, what I have to say is then you're not going to get any better than where you are right now. You're not going to grow any better, and you're not going to have a better quality, and you're not going to be add to. If you don't grow, you're going to fall behind in this industry. And so the way I did it was I just painted a vision for them. I said, hey, listen, number one, I bought into the research that y'all did about the grocery stores. Okay, you ran this. Can I tell that story or not?
Yeah, sure. It was just for context at FloorCon, which is happening this year in November in Arizona. But at last FloorCon, you're telling us this story. Go ahead.
Yeah. So to have a store that you walk into and there's less is more, and it really does look like that. But the story of the comparison of the three big food chains, Trader Joe's and Central Market and Whole Foods, and y'all made us guess which one was the most profitable. And I've shopped all those, and I thought, okay, well, it's easy. Central Market's probably the most profitable. No, it's Trader Joe's. They got a smaller store. They offer fewer products. If you don't like it, go shopping somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's like they're more profitable per square foot. Okay, that's what I want. I want to be more profitable per square foot. So we bought into that concept. I painted this concept to my sales staff. I mean, is it a sales job? Maybe, but as I'm the leader, it's like get on the boat or out of the boat, like what Jason Goldberg says. You're going to get with the program. And we're in this boat together. Let's row on cue. Here we go. And so that's what I liked. And that's what I did is I told everybody. And here's the interesting part. Once we started cleaning house, this is the most important part. Once we started cleaning house, put down a new floor, took up the, 70 different floors to put down one floor, my team started getting the vision and they were beginning to say, I'm really proud of the way our store looks now. And I went, wow, okay, that means they got it. That means that means they bought it. That means they're onto it. And you would be surprised at how refreshing it is to do a total makeover on your own store. Because a lot of us get out there and go, like, I don't really want to spend the money. Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do that? But it's a much cleaner. I can tell you right now, my store is a much cleaner look. It's not cluttered. We decluttered everything. I threw out people that weren't doing business with us. When I was doing less than $25,000 a year in business, I politely asked them, give them their samples back or threw their samples away, depending on what the case was. And so that's how I got my team to buy into it. And they once they saw the refresh in progress, they were excited about it. Now,
okay.
You want me to speak about that other one?
Yeah. Well, I have one more question as it comes to that. Like, you've had a long journey of protecting margins and doing things outside of the FSU program and other things. Like, you've seen what to do and what not to do over the last 40 years in business. Are there things mistakes you've made as a retailer that you want to make sure other retailers don't make those mistakes? Like, I know one thing that you told me is protect your margins, because when something goes wrong, you have the ability to pay for it. And you mentioned some stuff like that. Like, I'd love for you to part some of the 50 years of wisdom that you have of mistakes you've made or things you've done right. That way others can learn from that.
Well, okay. So I'm going to have to give another buying group credit for having an advisory board that kind of petered out after a while. But in the very beginning, a retailer who was like third generation and had built a very nice, big, beautiful store down in San Antonio, they told us, and I did not know that he was at 60%, but he says, man, if you're not at 50%, you don't really have anywhere to go when somebody wants to ask you for a discount. For example, if I am at 50% on everything in the building. If a contractor comes in and I can actually tell he's a contractor and not some guy that just put on a ball cap and says I'm a contractor, and I want his business in the future, I can give him a 10% discount and I'm still at 40. If a designer wants a discount, I can give her a 10% discount. I'm still at 40. If somebody wants a material, if somebody's going to do material only, maybe I'll do that. But if you start out at 40, try to give somebody a 10% discount. Now you're down to 30, and now something goes wrong on the job. You forgot some floor patch. You didn't know what was going on here or there. Maybe you broke something. I don't know. You don't want to turn in an insurance claim. You're going to buy something. So then your margin begins to kind of go down from that. If you're at a 40, or even if you're at a 30, it's suicide, because if you're at a 30 and you try to give somebody a 10% discount, where are you going to go? You're going to go to 20? No, it's insane, right?
Yeah, I mean, can you run a business on 20, 30% gross profit margins? I mean, I assume you're just a hamster wheel trying to reinvest in the business.
No, not really, because I'll be honest with you. In 2007, 8, when things were going not so well in the economy, we were at 35%. And we said, that's not going to work. And so what we started doing, how we got from 35% to 50 was not overnight, but every time there was a annual or semi-annual price increase from any of the majors, we added 5%. Now, that doesn't 5%? Are you kidding? That doesn't hurt at all to go up 5%, especially if you're down at 35. And now you got to 40, and then you get to 45, and then you go to 50, and it becomes easier and easier. And what you realize is, yes, you might lose some jobs because people think you're too high if you don't do a good job selling them confidently on what your services are and doing things the right way, getting the right floor patch, making sure the glue is right, doing all the moisture testing, all the things that everybody knows how to do. Then you're going to be in trouble, and it won't be long before you are down and out. But you'll have more money to be able to do things with. But you get the thing you get fewer jobs to manage because you're at a higher margin, but you also get rid of most of your problems. Most of your problem jobs go away because they don't want to pay. They're cheap to begin with, and they're going to nitpick every single thing to death. So
you're at 50% gross profit margin, and the store next to you is probably at 30 or 40. The store next to you is probably at 30 or 40. So how has that affected your actual financial? Because that's scary. Listen, if I have a store and I'm at 50% and the store next to me is at 40, and the store next to me is at 40 and 35, like that's a tough pill to swallow initially.
Well, it may be, but you see, I have the attitude of this. If they come onto my turf and I don't sell them on me, I don't sell them on our story of what our company stands for, because we on the retail side, what we try to do is we try to educate the buyer, in short, because if you educate a buyer, they will actually help themselves upgrade to the next product. Because once you teach them why is one product $2.99 and why is one product $7.99, there's got to be a difference. And I usually give them a supplemental illustration. It's not because we're just trying to charge more. Here's why this product is less expensive. Here's why this product has a higher quality. And once you kind of explain that to people, you get their trust, and then they end up buying a better goods. And guess what? Your ticket gets bigger. I mean, yep. That's one of the stories that happened this week.
Yeah. You were telling me that story. How about I want to ask you about the installation crisis that I hear. You've been in this industry for a long time, and I obviously haven't. And I hear from retailers, and I see it, that there is a lack of quality installers. We can't find installers. How do we educate more installers? How do we train more installers? How do you go about finding installers? How do you train installers? And you've been in the business for 50 years. How has the installation shortage or crisis, or whatever you want to call it, changed over the last 50 years, in your opinion?
Well, it's changed tremendously. You're right. And it's no joke. And boy, the guys who do stretching carpet are the ones who are the hardest to find, because that's really probably the hardest work and the lower pay. And so we, the dealers, have technically paid a guy more money to put in stuff by the square foot than we have by the square yard. That's a whole nother subject. Or to stretch in carpet, which is probably worth more because it's higher. We've recently bumped up all our labor prices right prior to most of this crazy inflation stuff. But what we're trying to do right now is on a couple of things. We do. One of my salespersons is really likes looking. He was an installer for 10 years. Turned out to be my best lead salesperson right now. He has connections on Facebook, and he likes to put some feelers out to find some guys, to be honest with you. But what I'm doing directly as a company is we're sponsoring some events. There's now a new, there's always been the Certified Flooring Installer organization. And I was really disappointed with that because my wife and I went to that a couple of years ago, and there was about 70, 80 people in the room, maybe 100. And they asked, can I show of hands of who were dealers in there? There were like 3 dealers out of 75 people. And I was like, what? Why are dealers interested in this? There just was no support from the manufacturer side or the dealer side. So what I'm doing is I'm doing on the local side, we're working with a local high school here to get kids interested who may not want to go to college, but they want to have some kind of a career. We're telling them the kind of money that we're paying out to these contractors, and we're going to, the plan is to bring them in during the summer, get them to work with some of my peeps and that are old enough to be on a job. Unfortunately, 18 is most of the responsibility for insurance, but get them to work during the summer and see if they just even like this project. And if they do, then we will lead to further education in the fall and probably send them to one of these, we'll sponsor them to go to one of these national training schools that are in Georgia right now.
Okay, so you're really helping sponsor. I mean, that's what the industry should be doing. You're helping sponsor installers from high school all the way through, and then hopefully they come work for you guys. Is that kind of how it works?
Yes, they have some contracts available out there. It requires further investigation, but they have contracts out there that you could sponsor these people to go to school. You bring them back. You can furnish them supplies. You can furnish them, vehicles and tools, and you can take all that out of their paycheck. But they're obligated that it's like a loan, and they're obligated to pay should they quit. So their contracts to kind of give them some teeth to stay working with you. And if you can work with them exclusively, they can either become a part of your company, or they can become an independent contractor.
Okay. So you're really helping. I mean, your store personally is helping with the installation issues and training people, which I appreciate. Looking forward, I mean, again, you've seen the industry change over the last 50 years. Like, what do you think the next 50 years looks like? I mean, do you have a sense of what you think the future of the floor covering industry looks like in your perspective?
Well, short term, long term. Short term, with the way the economy is running and things are going, if things should slow down, I think those who are best positioned to market themselves out in cyberspace, which that's what y'all do.
As in digital marketing online, okay.
Digital marketing, yeah, is going to be the one who are going to be able to capture those people who actually need flooring. Okay, we all know that flooring is not a necessity in life, but if your house has a flood, now it becomes a necessity in the house, or some kind of an accident or whatever. But at the same time, and that's what I foresee that is actually going to help boost us through this particular economy that's going now. As far as going into the future, if we, the dealers, don't get a handle on this deal, I foresee the dealers going. There'll still be some dealers 50 years from now, but I'll see them. We'll see more. We'll see fewer of them, because in every one of those will all be specialty dealers, and they will all be high end. There will be plenty of stuff for the box stores to sell, because they're going to sell. The box stores love making money in the flooring business, and big manufacturers love selling them. But I see that's going to happen more and more. The floor and decors are going to be more out there, and they're going to be trying to take business away from the rest of us. But when we sell a full service of a quality product and a product that you can't shop, we're going to be the survivors over the other people.
So that's looking forward. Do you have any regrets looking backwards over the last 50 years of things, if you could have known looking back outside of margins, that you wish you could have done differently?
Yeah, I'll start my business sooner.
If you started your business sooner, you'd be at 50 years, not 49 years, right?
Well, meaning to stop working for the other guy and start my own company is what I mean.
Yeah.
But seriously, I don't really have any regrets, other than I regret that I hired the wrong marketing people for 18 years.
And this is not supposed, and I, Theril and I did not plan this, but I do obviously appreciate that vote of confidence from you guys. But I get it. Listen, there's a lot of things that you've probably done right or done wrong over the last 50 years. And I'm hoping some of the advice that you're giving people for the next 50 years can help them as well. The last question I have, and then we'll do one more, just parting advice, is you're like an energetic, excited dude. Like, you get excited by the flooring industry. You're a ton of life. Like, how are you still? I talk to so many retailers and they're like, I want to get out. I don't like the business. I've been in it forever. And the attitude maybe goes across the company and maybe even goes onto the customers. Like, how do you keep so excited, energized, and ready to go every day? And you've been doing this for 50 years.
Well, there's a couple of answers that I could use, but, without a vision, the people perish. That's a very famous quote. I'll let you figure out where it came from. But you've got to have a vision for wanting to help people. If you don't want to help people anymore, get out of the business. I mean, because honestly, on the retail side of the business, especially if you're doing installation, you're trying to help people get the best value. One thing that motivates me is I get really ticked off when people walk into my store and they say, we bought some tile 5 years ago and had them do our shower, and now it's leaky and moldy. You see, I personally feel like that's a crime. It should be prosecuted, but obviously it's not. We didn't do the job. But there's where you have a customer that's an opportune customer to upgrade them to your way of doing things. The Schluter system. There's plenty of other systems out there we're waterproofing, but I'm just saying I get motivated by helping people, and I'm energetic because I want to improve. I guess the biggest deal was my brother-in-law didn't think I could do this business. His family didn't think I could do this business, and I was working for them. And I've just kind of proven it to myself and to the world that I can do this business, and it's a difficult business. There's no doubt about it. And so anyway, those are some of my motivations. That's the simple side.
No, and I know you eat healthy and other things. Let's go into all of that. But as a last piece, we have a lot of retailers, a lot of installers turning into retailers, a lot of brand new retailers. Day one, open up shop. You remember what that day one was like. It's scary. You kind of don't know what's happening. Are there, what would you do as a day one retailer opening up a store today? Is there something that you would do today, day one, coming from the installation side or opening up a store for the first time? Because you don't know what you don't know. So is there any advice to people like, day one, I'm opening up my store, now what?
Well, I'll tell you how I did it. Actually, while I was working for somebody else, I created a commercial business, and I had a book of business, and that was my foundation for being able to put in the retail business. Because when you open the door, flip the light on for this retail business, unless you're spending tons of money, people just don't walk in the door. And unless you have a really nice location, it takes a little while for people to actually walk in the door. The thing that I probably would be different would be that I probably would have a little bit better location. However, I took whatever I could get. I mean, you had to have radar to find me. Whoops! Did you lose? Did we lose you?
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. I don't know. Something happened. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I probably would have tried to get a little bit better backing, but I went out on my own. I got an SBA loan to get started. But I felt like based on all my commercial business, I could make all the numbers happen. So I would probably do a better job on the retail side, because at first I wasn't sure I really wanted to be in the retail business. And then we just slowly started adding some retail products as we got to a better location.
Okay. And I know I said it was the last question. I have one more question. A lot of people work with their significant others. And I know Alice is over there in their back room, and you guys are, happily married for, I think you just had an anniversary last week.
49 years in March.
49 years. So did you guys get married the same year? So I wanted to ask, did you get married the same year you opened the store? Because it's both 49 years.
Literally, we got married in March, and I started in the flooring business in April.
Okay, and you guys have been together ever since, and you guys have both worked in the store the whole time?
Well, okay, so let me explain it like this. Alice has only helped me in my business since 2003. Okay, so that when I started my company here, that's when she kind of went to work with me. She already had another job at American Airlines, and she came in and worked for me part-time to help me do some books. But when she retired in 2008, she came on board working with me every day.
And you said she started helping you in the business. I assume the whole time she was helping you work on the business.
Yes. The whole time she was helping me keep up with the accounting and our software system and that sort of thing. She didn't know anything about flooring, and really, honestly, she knows everything behind the scenes on the operations of all of everything. She still can help somebody, but she doesn't get out there on this retail sales floor much.
Yeah, it's always incredible to me. Not only is this industry full of kind of family heritage, but also a lot of families work together, right? Your son doesn't work for you though, right?
No, he did for a brief period of time when he got out of the military till he found what he wanted to do. But no, I don't have any other. Well, actually, my daughter was a licensed interior designer. We put her to school at TCU, Texas Christian University here in Fort Worth. She came out of school, worked for a systems furniture company for about 18 months. Their business turned down. They let her go. She put in an application. She comes over and she says, "Dad, I think I need to go work for you." She brought me her resume. It's just like, oh, my company's so brand new, I'm not sure I can afford to pay myself, let alone an employee. So my daughter was actually my first employee that I hired. And she worked for me for up from 2000, latter part of 2003 to 2012. 2013. Alice, help me out here. When did Kristen retire?
It was about 13 because we had just moved in here.
Yeah, no, I think it was 14. Anyway, she worked for me for at least 10 or 12 years. It seemed like is what she actually worked for me for. So that's family, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
But I had a designer in-house, licensed designer, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, as we end here, I know there's a couple hundred people watching. Anything I didn't ask you, or anything else that you want to make sure the audience knows about you, your store, or any last parting words on your side?
No, but I want to tell this one story you kind of asked me about earlier, and I didn't
Right.
get to it. It was about when we were setting up the FSU system.
Yeah.
We like everybody else, we kind of got the proximity rack first, and that thing landed here like last June. Flipped the switch on. And so in February, we were setting everything up. We had a couple of my warehouse guys, and one of the drivers was here assembling everything. And the customer literally walks in the front door. I happened to be standing near the front door. I heard the whole conversation. The lady says, "Hey, I want to look at proximity." It might have been Hudson Oaks. I don't remember the exact style. She said, "I want to look at this style. I want to look at this color." Ivan, my salesperson, who used to be 10 years installer, took her right straight to the product, pulled it out because she had a little swatch. She got it in the mail. And she says, "That's what I want." He asked the question, "Do you want to see anything else?" She says, "Nope, that's the best. That's what I want. Let's make an appointment. Come to my house." And she was in and out of the door in less than 30 minutes. And my warehouse guy, my driver was going, "Well, I think I can sell here." That was too easy.
It's too easy. Yeah, exactly. And I think sampling on your website is a huge feature that we launched as part of the FSU program. And we actually just partnered with Mohawk to launch it as well. So I'm excited to offer it to, all the brands, again, so brands can tell their story, offer sample to consumers, and build that experience I think that consumers expect. So anyway, Theril, I know I took 39 minutes of your time.
Sorry.
I super appreciate it. And you guys are based in Fort Worth, correct?
Yes, Fort Worth, Texas.
I've been to your store a few times, so I hope I could remember that. But I appreciate you taking the time. If any of you guys see Theril in the Facebook groups, make sure you say hello. And Theril, I really appreciate your time. And Alice, I know you can hear me back there. Thanks for jogging Theril's memory a little bit.
I have to.
She says she has to.
I know. All right. Thank you guys so much. And next week, we're going to have our next webinar Wednesday. Again, next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Make sure you join.